Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Travel Rolly Podcast. Today we have Mr. Robbie Baxter. Robbie Baxter is the official concierge driver for Royal Links Golf Tours. He was born and raised in St. Andrews, so he got to learn the game of golf and play and grow up on the 7 links courses there. So you'll hear a lot about that. I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Travel Royally podcast. Today, we're very excited to have Robbie Baxter with us. Robbie is the owner of Champion Chauffeur St. Andrews. By education at the University of Edinburgh, Robbie has a master's in mechanical engineering with management, and he's worked for global companies like Diageo and Halliburton. Robbie was born and raised in St. Andrews. He's a proud St. Andrean, and he learned how to play golf on the 7 links there in St. Andrews, where his father and his grandfather before him played their golf. Robbie is our concierge driver for St. Andrews base trip. He's part of our team and part of our family. Robbie, welcome to the Travel Royally podcast.
Thanks very much for having me.
You are like family.
Now I am, yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
family.
Tina considers you her son, I think.
Lucky me.
Yeah, well, yeah, it could be worse. You could be on the outs with her.
Yeah.
But I should let everyone know that the way that we met was back in December, I think it was. Robbie reached out to me at a time when I was particularly having some difficulty with a transportation provider. He offered to meet. We met. We hit it off immediately. We've got very aligned values. And then we plugged him into every trip we could this year. And he's done an exemplary job. So we're thrilled to have him as part of our team. So, Robbie, let's start at the beginning. How did you come to golf?
Well, I was born in St. Andrews. I've lived in St. Andrews kind of right up until I left school. So if you don't play golf in St. Andrews, you're missing something. But my dad was a very keen golfer. His mother was more the keener golfer between his mum and dad, and her brother played golf at a very high level. So yeah, it was my dad and my grandma that introduced me to golf. The first time I played the old course actually was with my grandma. I can't remember how old I was there, but yeah, pretty young. And during the summer holidays, there was like a holiday golf program on. So me and my brother used to get dropped off there with my dad, and we play golf for the summer. Um, and then when I went to university, every summer that I'd come back to St Andrews, I'd just get right back into golf. We'd play it throughout the summer, get really into it. I wouldn't say I had a game going at the end, but I'd had some sort of confidence in my game. And I'd go to university and kind of get lost in the university life and then come back in the summer and start it all over again. So it's only really kind of like the last 10 years that I've played a lot more consistent golf, maybe minus the last 2 years when I started having a young family. But yeah, that's how I came to golf. So always been involved in it throughout my whole life, really.
And you lived in St. Andrews your whole life, other than when you went away to university in Edinburgh, correct?
Yeah, so 17, I moved to Edinburgh, and then was there for 5 years and moved up to Aberdeen to work.
Oh, okay.
So I was there for, I've been back in St Andrews permanently for about 2.5 years now,
Okay.
which is when, yeah, kind of during COVID time when me and my wife moved back and began a young family in St Andrews.
I didn't
So
realize you
glad to be
lived in
back.
Aberdeen.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So let me ask this: what led you to want to start a coach business?
Um, So, well, yeah, when I moved back to St Andrews, I always wanted to get, I was in the golf industry or witnessing the golf industry, it's maybe a better term to say it, and not involved in it. And I was very jealous and I wanted to get involved. So I was looking at certain avenues to get involved in. And the one that kind of cropped up was like the chauffeur side of it, the transport side of the business, where there was a bit of a demand for it. The standards had slipped a bit and I'd thought about it a lot last year. And during the Open, we were staying at my mum and dad's house, and helicopters were landing quite near to them. And my son, who was 18 months at the time, was loving it. So my mum took Alfie to see the helicopters, and people were getting off these helicopters. They must have been spending tens of thousands, right, to get on these helicopters, and they were getting shoehorned into these vehicles that were small, dirty, not high spec. And yeah, it was my mum that said, if you're thinking about doing this, it seems like it's there for the taking of it. So yeah, I really looked into it. I kind of validated the need, and that was the common theme that was coming up, was that the standards had slipped. And then from there, started phoning people, and like yourself, reached out. Are you interested? A lot of people were saying yes. And at the end of the last year, I thought, right, if I'm going to do this, let's press the button.
Yeah. Well, you've got a great business model, and one of the things that people comment on is one, your friendliness, two, your knowledge of St. Andrews, and then three, relative to your vehicle, that you literally clean it before, after every transport. Like when they would, like, people would come back and say, he vacuums the van or cleans the van after every time we're in it. I'm like, they're like, it's spotless.
There's two things for that. One, because I think they need to be having a clean van. I think that's what they deserve. But two, if you leave it too long, it just gets even worse. So that's like
Yeah.
one of my things is the minute that people are out the van, it gets cleaned. And if you stay on top of it enough, it never gets dirty, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tell us about your company. It's called
Yeah.
Champion Chauffeur St. Andrews. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of to go back to starting it then. Yeah, I've always wanted to start my own thing and have my own business and make my own money. And when you look at how do you start a company, or how do you come up with an idea to start a company, it's got to be something that you're passionate about. So if you jot down all the things that I'm passionate about, the main themes are golf, St. Andrews, and Scotland. So if you can kind of combine all those things together and look at somewhere that needs demand in the industry, it landed on this chauffeur business. Um, so the company is at the minute relatively new. This is our first year being operational, but the and just with one van. But we've got another one on the way for next year, so we'll have two vans next year. And throughout the year, I've kind of gained a lot of contacts as well. So although that I've only got two vans, I've got affiliates that I can reach out to that have more than that and have higher number of seats to accommodate more golfers. So that's the business, kind of catering for smaller groups, four, but I can reach out to like eight, if that was required. And yeah, kind of at the core of it is the high standard, but also anyone can get a van, and a high spec van, although they are tough to get at the minute.
Right.
But yeah, the secret sauce is the driver who's behind the wheel, and it's not just a chauffeur business. I'm not taking clients from A to B. We're looking after them. The idea is that we're trying to take all stress off whoever's in the back of the van. They don't have to think about anything. They just need to think about Robbie's picking me up at 9 a.m. and that's it. And we take all stress off whoever's in the back of the van, and they just need to show up in the morning. And hopefully, yeah, the most stressful part of their day is counting up their score after they finish
Right.
their game of golf.
Well, one of the things I wanted to mention, Robbie, is that the idea that you've got around, right now you've got a four-person van, which is perfect because the majority of trips that we have are, either two or four golfers. So we're very comfortable giving you all of that business, and you do such a great job. But the idea that you want to look after them, one of the titles, the title that we give you is concierge driver. And every time I tell people that, I say, this is not just a phrase. We're not trying to make it sound fancy. Robbie is literally your concierge. If you're running late, he'll call the golf course. If you're going to arrive early and want to see if you can get out early, he'll call. If you need a dinner reservation, if you need a recommendation for, a sightseeing amenity on any given day, Robbie's the guy to talk to. If you want to alter your schedule, Robbie's the person to talk to. So when you think about, as an example, the Barons, who were very happy with what you provided, so much so they're coming back next year. They want to ride with you again, right? Which is a great testimony. I'm assuming they'll be your first repeat customer, right?
Yeah.
They're very happy with that, with the standard that you provide, and the fact that you really are a concierge. And the other thing, Robbie, when you think about it, is this: when you think, let's talk about the Barons for a minute. I had met them and spent several hours with them getting ready for their trip. I mean, I'd done a lot of work behind the scenes, but in terms of face-to-face contact, because they live in my community, I was able to meet with them face-to-face. Most of my clients I meet over Zoom. We typically see one another twice. We exchange a lot of emails, but in terms of face-to-face contact, there's not that much, a couple hours typically.
Yeah.
But when they're with you, in the Barons case, they were there 9 days. You were with them 7 of those days, and you probably spent, and you played golf with them. So you probably spent more than 20 hours with them.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's really important that we've got people on the ground there representing us well, and you do a great job of that.
Yeah, and I guess that's part of my task because this business will grow and there will be other drivers. Is that all the drivers that will be involved and it have to be the right people, are golfers, local, and can give that support. Right, they're not just a driver. They're there to give recommendations and to help the clients out, um, and to help them about the town.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The 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 town is relatively small, but there's a lot to do around the town, and we'll talk more about that. But I want to ask a question: who is your target audience? Is it? I'm assuming you've got kind of two. One is people like me that own tour companies, and the other is individuals that live in the area and need transport.
Yeah, so I guess primarily it's golfers, right? If you look at like the broader picture, it's golf groups. But who I'm trying to link up with is tour operators that are providing a high-end premium service. And that's I'm more than aware of a lot of these people that come to St Andrews or come to Scotland in general are spending a lot of money on these golf trips, and the service that they should be getting should be high. And that I'm not trying to cram people into a van. They should be spacious. They should be comfortable. And that's who I'm not trying to target at every golfer coming to St Andrews. I'm trying to target at the people that have paid for a high end service and should be getting it. And that's what we're trying to deliver. Um, tour operators are my primary um, candidates, mainly because you guys are in the know of the courses, you can build itineraries, and I try and tell that to people in the van that you can book it yourself, but it's a lot harder. You won't get preferential rates, and if just for argument's sake, say if I phoned up Troon and asked for a tea time and they didn't have a tea time, the likelihood is they're not going to phone me back when they have an opening. But with a tour operator, they will. So there's a lot of benefits to go to the tour operator rather than try and do it yourself. So although they are my clients, if someone has built an itinerary and they want transport, I'm happy to do it. But a lot of the business is coming from tour operators who outsource their transport.
Yeah, you raise a good point, Robbie. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, we've got a group going to Dublin next year there's a big American football game they have every year. It's like the first American college football game of the season, and they play it in Dublin. This has been going on for several years. This year, it's Notre Dame versus Navy. Next year, it's Florida State versus Georgia Tech. And so next year, we're putting together this trip, and they want to play 3 rounds of golf. I go out and I find some courses, and the tee times aren't matching up because there's so much demand already, because there are going to be 50,000 Americans descending on Dublin, and everyone wants to play the 3 courses right in, or 4 courses right in and around Dublin. So I saw that this course had one tee time at 8:30 in the morning, and I've got 8 golfers. So on their website, it showed, as you kind of mentioned, it showed one tee time. I phoned them up, and they said, "Oh, we've got more. We're just saving them for tour operators."
Yeah.
Right. So I was able to get our group on at their preferred tee time, which was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us
There's
about,
definite
tell
benefit.
us, I'm sorry, go ahead, Robbie.
No, just saying there's a definite benefit to it that I think people don't quite understand.
Yeah, well, I think, it takes an awful lot of time to develop the knowledge that people have, that tour operators have of Scotland and St.
Mm.
Andrews. And even with that, I still rely on people like you. And every day I learn something new. A couple of weeks ago, I was speaking with a woman, and she's got, as you head out of town, I don't know, I don't know the number of the road, but as you're going up towards the Castle Course and
Yeah.
and where the road forks, and if you stay left, you go to the Fairmont. If you go right, there's a B&B up there called the Old Station. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a small B&B.
Yeah.
I was talking with her, and she does a very nice job, and it's very affordable. People would have a hard time finding her on the internet, right? But I have a relationship with her, which something she told me the other day was amazing. She said at the current moment, St. Andrews has 2,000 fewer beds than it needs. Think about that.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
know.
for me, that's staggering, but um, part of the thinking there is that um, it forces us further afield sometime to find accommodation. But so tell
Yeah.
us more about your services. Obviously, you provide transportation service for golf groups, but you do airport transfers and
Yeah,
transfers.
I do airport transfers. Last week I did a whiskey tour up at Pitlochry, Aberfeldy area, which was good fun. Yeah, the clients enjoyed that. That was their kind of their day off golfing. Which was that Pitlochry area is where like there's a massive hub of like distilleries, and it's nice break for the golf. That they'd golfed 2 days, and this was their day off, and they were going up for a whiskey tour. And again, just sat in the van. I'll take care of all the driving. They went for lunch at Glen Eagles. We went to another whiskey tour and then back to St Andrews and loved it. It was a good way to kind of break up
Excellent.
the golf trip, but also to not to say that you need to get out of St Andrews, but to see other parts of Scotland and get up to the kind of the start of the Highlands. And we were driving through some like awesome roads, really nice scenic roads that they got to see a bit more of Scotland rather than just being stuck in the town.
Yeah. Did you
So
go to
it's a great way
Edwarddower?
to.
Did you go to
Sorry.
Edwarddower?
Yes. Yeah.
They're back open now with tours.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Where else
And
did
the
you
other
go
one
on the way
was
back? You said you went to a second one.
Glen Turret. Glen
Is that
Turret
near
was the second one.
Stirling? Is that near Stirling
No,
or
Glen Turret's near Crieff.
okay?
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, like primarily golf tours, but yeah, day trips as well. And like I said, it's a good way to you're over here from well, typically the States, right, to Scotland. It's good to kind of get a bit more of the country rather than just golf courses and golf towns.
Well, that's you and I have shared values in that respect. We don't want to book trips for people that are playing 36 holes a day and doing nothing but bouncing from course to course. We want people to enjoy the clubs, not just the course, but the golf club itself, and to
Yeah,
have those experiences, whether it's a whiskey tasting or a distillery tour or a castle tour or a tour of a city. Yesterday, Robbie, you won't believe this. We got the request for a woman here in the States raises border collies. She wanted to go to a working sheepdog farm, right? And I said we can find it. So I immediately thought of you. I said, I told her. I said Hayden and I were on the phone with her and her husband. I said we know people over there. We'll find one. And we ended up finding one on our own. But and it's in a perfect location, and the guy is amazingly friendly. He's just south of Aviemore, right on the edge of the Cairngorms National Park, and he's got 1,100 head of cattle and like 1,000 sheep. And he puts on these hour-long demonstrations with the dogs herding sheep. I want to go see it myself now. I think it sounds fascinating. But
there you go. You've got another activity to put onto itineraries.
well, yeah, okay. Are you telling me Alfie wouldn't find that absolutely mesmerizing?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure he would.
I guess what I'm saying is I've got the mental capacity of a 3-year-old. Alfie and I are on the same level.
Yeah, you and him can go up.
Hey, Tina and I love spending time with my granddaughter, right? If you would let us, we would take him up there, right? We would literally say, "You've got him for the day. You and your wife go enjoy your day. We'll take him up to see the colleagues," right?
Booked in. That's it. Booked in.
So tell us about you've got one vehicle now. Tell us about that vehicle and tell us about your new vehicle.
So the vehicles at the minute are Mercedes G-Class type vehicles. So yeah, if you go on my website, we've got photos of what that looks like inside. But very spacious, very comfortable for up to 4 golfers, and that can carry luggage, golf cases, rucksacks. And the other vehicle coming in is the same as that. So those are the vehicles that we have on offer at the minute. Like I said earlier on, we've got affiliates who have the bigger size vehicles. If that was needed, we can bring them, subcontract them in. And these affiliates are people that have got similar values to ours. That it's the concierge type driver, like how you call it,
right?
And premium vehicle types. So yeah, that's what we've got at the moment. The goal is to kind of expand that fleet and eventually have an 8-seater ourselves as well. But manage and maintain the business to smaller groups below 8. We feel that way the driver's kind of building a relationship with the people in the back of the van, and the itinerary is obviously the itinerary, but the more that the driver gets to know the group, things in the itinerary can maybe be tweaked to be more bespoke to what their needs are, right? Rather than if you've got a coach full of 30 people and one person wants to do one thing and the other 29 don't, the chances are you're not getting to that place. But we would like to think that if you're over here and you want to do something that's not an itinerary, we can be flexible enough to do it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I think, as I said, I'm looking up at the list of all the trips that we've had, and of the all of the trips that we had, only about less than 5% are more than 4 golfers.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But I know you've got a profit motive for your business, and the more people in the van, the more money that you make. So an 8-seater would be nice eventually, I'm assuming.
It would be. It would be. Yeah. We'll get there.
No. Yeah, I understand, and I think you could have a wonderful business with just the 4-seaters. To be truthful, if you could keep them running, have four.
Yeah.
Just running people ragged with those. So what? Tell us what do you think makes Champion Chauffeur of St. Andrews so unique? And I know that you've given this a lot of thought, and you saw a relatively poor standard of service, but what makes Champion Chauffeur so unique?
Yeah, I think like if you kind of the vehicle's not unique, right? You can walk around St. Andrews now that you know the brand of the vehicle. You walk around St. Andrews, and that's the only vehicle that you'll see.
Right.
So it's not the vehicle that we're offering is unique. It really is kind of the people. I guess one thing that I noticed was that there wasn't that many young people driving vehicles in St. Andrews, and the kind of the dress sense of the drivers tend to be suited and booted with top hats, not top hats, but driver hats on. And yeah, when I seen that, I shook my head and just thought that's not. If I was on a golf trip, that's not who would want to be kind of driving the car that I was in. Not that I'm going to be everyone's best mate driving the car. But yeah, like I said before, we want to be building relationships. We want to be um, seen as one of the team, if you want to call it that. And yeah, all the drivers that are going to be part of this company are going to be local. They're going to be golfers. They're going to be into it. They're going to understand the magnitude of the experience that these people are going through. That when they play the old, we're not just picking them up from the old. We're picking them up from like something on these people's bucket list for years, and this could be the only time that they play it.
Right.
Um, I play my golf in St Andrews, and there's been many times where we've taken golfers on, and like I will be honest, the first time I did it, it was, oh, this is quite annoying. So I've got three of my friends, we've got to introduce ourselves to this random guy. And then by the 18th hole, you're like best friends. And then
Yeah.
we tended to have a night out with them in St Andrews. And that kind of witnessing that buzz from that person that you bring on for such a small gesture from us, it was huge to them. And that's going to kind of bleed through into the company that when these people come off, we're living the buzz with them. Like we understand, like this is huge. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're really living it with them. It's not just taking you from A to B.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great comment. A lot of these people are there to celebrate something, an
Yeah,
anniversary, graduation, um, a big birthday. It could, I think the other thing, we do a lot of first trips, right? It's their first time going over. So we want it to be special. But conversely, a lot of times it's someone's last trip, where they've gotten into their 70s and they realize I'm not coming back, right? Not because they're ill, but because they're getting older,
yeah,
and won't be coming back. I've got a friend like that, right? A friend of mine said, I'm not going back. This is my last trip, right? And you're like, wow, that's. And I've been there multiple times with him, and it's it's not sad because he's been there a handful of times, but it's um, kind of bittersweet, I guess, because he's got the
yeah,
memories of having been there and so forth.
yeah, for sure.
So what's your long range vision for Champion Chauffeur?
Long range is to pick up the fleet, grow the fleet, and get drivers on board that I can really trust. That are the right people. And when I say that, like the business isn't going to grow if I can't get the right people, because that is the business. The business isn't multiple vehicles; it's the right people involved. And it's not like I said before. We're not going to go big with like it's not going to be big transport. It's going to be small, but so it can be bespoke to the people that we're touring around. Um, and I don't want it to get too big that the service is hindered. The service is always going to be the top priority. So in that respect, it's not going to be huge. The business is going to be kept and maintained, so the standards are very high.
Excellent. So let me
So if
ask
you to
this,
put a
Robbie.
number,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, if you to put a number on the van, I don't. I five like my 5 year goal is probably 3 to 4 vans.
Okay.
And then after that, we just need to see what the 10 year goal is
Yeah.
of target vision.
Excellent. When people or what are your favorite things to do around St. Andrews? The off course activities.
For me as a local,
Yeah.
right? Well, recently I've actually got into swimming in the sea quite a bit, and that's I roll. That's honestly something that I'd recommend to do. We go swimming at the Castle Sands, which is like an outdoor pool. Tide comes in, it's nice and fresh, and then it leaves a pool for the rest of the day. But every time, it's always busy at the Castle Sands. And every time I come out, there's tourists who are like wearing massive ski jackets, and they always ask that, or they always say, "That looks great. Is it cold in there?" But I can tell they're absolutely itching to get in themselves. So I always say, "You need to get in. You need to get in." So that's one thing. Other things, like a lot of people say, "Where should I go in St Andrews?" or "What should I do in St Andrews?" Walk the town. You really won't fully appreciate the town unless you just walk it. And I know that's probably not giving myself good business because I'm the transport guy, but you just need to walk the streets of St Andrews, just in in the town centre. It won't take you long. And go into the bars. Especially the ones that are full of locals. A lot of people, oh, we didn't go in there because it looked like a locals pub. Get into the locals pub.
Yeah.
Um, we don't bite, and it's good fun. Um, Other things like walking the West Sands, which is the beach right next to the old course. It's like I don't know, I think it's like 5K the walk. Um, but it's awesome. It's so nice, and you can walk back and you look in walking in back into the town, similar to what you're doing on the old course, but it's
Yeah.
stunning. Um, the Himalayas is good fun. The putting green on the second tee of the old course. Yeah, we go. We'll be taking my kids there when they're old enough and they don't throw putters about. But we've taken family members there that are younger and absolutely love it. And that's like their favorite thing to do, or that's their first thing that they want to do when they get to St Andrews.
Yeah.
Um,
John and Sharon loved that, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah,
loved
it's
it.
good.
Yeah.
It's great fun. Yeah, what else is there to do? That's good. Yeah, I like really just walking the town, especially in the summer when there's a buzz about it. Everyone's on holiday. There's tourists about. It's great. It is really good, and it's light nights. You can walk about until 11 o'clock at night. And it's still light.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So what other tips do you have for people visiting St. Andrews for the first time? The walking idea is a great one, right? Because you really once you're in the town, you really don't need transport, right?
no,
And, I mean, you
no,
can walk to the golf courses. I mean, there if you're going out to the Castle course, you need a lift.
yeah,
If you're going out to the Fairmont back and forth, you need a lift. But and obviously there are a lot of things to do outside of the Burg of St. Andrews, but yeah,
yeah. Yeah, almost like definitely walking. I know that you put in your itineraries walking the old course on a Sunday. I think that's great. If you're a runner, I would recommend running the old course on a Sunday in the morning. That's so good. Um, Other things to do, or as a must if you come to St Andrews, is go to the Dunvegan and go to the Jigger Inn,
yeah,
like the most famous bars in golf. And I know a lot of people kind of go in, especially the Dunvegan, will pop their head into the Dunvegan. Oh, it's too busy, and they walk out. But that's the romance of it. It's always busy, but you'll always get served. They've got it dialed down so well in there. Even as like a local, that's like one of our first bars of choice is to get into the Dunvegan because it's just good fun,
yeah.
especially if there's a golf competition on that you can watch on TV.
Yeah, this
Um,
weekend would just be brilliant, wouldn't it? This weekend and next would be just brilliant.
yeah, 100%. And yeah, some of our best days are playing the old course, finishing up a wee bit later on, and then just going straight into the Dunvegan for the night.
Have you been in
And
the one under?
yeah, the one under is great. The one
Yeah,
under is great. It just doesn't have the same um, energy as a Dunvegan.
yeah.
It do-
I don't know anything that does, to be truthful, but we
yeah,
went there during the Open last year, and we had that same kind of reaction. It's too, but we got in and then we got served quickly. I mean, it
yeah,
was amazing how
yeah,
efficient they are.
yeah. No, no, it's awesome. It's awesome. Um, Yeah, other kind of tips to do in St Andrews. I would kind of recommend. There's great restaurants in St Andrews, but like the 18 at the Rusacks is a definite. That's just really kind of up the game in St Andrews. I think. Like the view is incredible. Food's great in there. I think if you're in St Andrews, you need to go there.
Are you
Um,
angling for a free meal from Tina and me when we're there in October? That sounds
Kind
like
of.
where you're headed with that.
Yeah, yeah. Followed by the Dunvegan.
Um,
Cheap date.
yeah, okay, I wouldn't call that a cheap date, but okay.
No,
Now
I
you've
was
been
joking.
basically playing golf your whole life. You've been blessed to live in St. Andrews. If people don't know, there's 7 courses that are run by the St. Andrews Links Trust. Um, which is your favorite?
Favourite's the old. It's definitely the old. But yeah, if you think that's a cop out, I would probably say the Castle Course. I know that's a totally unpopular opinion among the locals, but it's a course. It's good fun. It's a good day out, but don't go up there if you want to post a score because it is unfair. And I defended it for years, right? And the last time I played it, I understood like the frustration that people get. It was on the par five, the fourth of the par five, and the pin was in a horrible position. And I was on in three and I five putted it, and I just got so annoyed. And that's when I could kind of get like, right, this is just annoying. But if you go up there and you don't try and post a score, you have fun, a bounce game with your friends. If you get it on a sunny day, there's just such a good experience.
Yeah.
But it is tough. It is tough, especially if the wind's going. But it's stunning, and some of the views back onto the town are like unmatched.
Oh, I agree. I love that course. And I think the other thing that makes it kind of unique in St. Andrews, I don't know if you feel this way or if locals feel this way, but for us, you get extra special treatment there, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they've got a bag drop, they've got a guy there that helps get your bag out. They've got kind of a welcome reception staff, and and they give you a goodie bag, a bag with tees and ball marks and stuff in it. Of course, we're paying a boatload of money, you know,
yeah.
but
No, I know, I agree. I
they
mean,
do a very
like,
nice job.
yeah, yeah, and that's kind of all been built in, I guess, hindsight, or not hindsight, but that's been built in prep for that. Whereas the old course is a course in the town that's now become this commercial beast that they don't have the footprint to build this huge meet and greet area. I guess is an issue that they've got there, but I know what you mean. There's a lot more space up there. It's nice. It's good. It's good product.
Yeah. I think most people that I've talked to that are locals would describe the four courses that people would generally play. So the Castle, the New, the Old, and the Jubilee. Right now, you and I would both say, hey, you're forgetting about the Eden, but very few
Yeah,
travelers play that. And then the other
yeah,
two are shorter, more specialized courses. But of those four that I mentioned, here's how I've heard people describe it. The Castle's the most scenic. The Old Course is the most historic. The Jubilee is the hardest, and the New Course is their favorite. Have you heard?
yeah. No, that yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that, and that's kind of the common thought. I'll tell you my opinion in a different way, right? Of like from a local. The old course you have to ballot, so you might not get on, or if you get on and you want to play at 8 o'clock, you might be playing at 4 o'clock. Um, the new you have to walk up, and you could walk up at 7. You don't go off at half 10. Um, the Jubilee you could book a time. The Castle you could book a time. But if it's windy and rainy, you're not playing the Castle. You're playing the Jubilee. That's kind of that's why I played probably the Jubilee the most. Is because of that. But if that's not to say that I prefer the Jubilee the most. It's just that I've got two young kids and if I want to play golf, it needs to be a quick game of golf first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And
What's the hole
that's my
on? One of
decision.
my favorite holes in Scotland is on Jubilee, and I think it's the 15th or 16th. It's the short par four kind of
Par
a.
four, fifth, yeah, 15.
That is a.
Yes.
That is a. I mean, you have to hit the green if you're long, right,
Yeah.
short, or left.
Well, now left, they've cut the gorse off the left there. So if you hit left, it will probably bounce onto the tee box of 16. So there's a bailout zone there, which is a shame. Because yeah, it used to be you've got to really, and it's a kind of bit of like a bell green that if you hit it and you're a wee bit short, or you're a wee bit left, or you're a wee bit right, it'll roll off. But yeah, it's a great hole. I love that hole.
Yeah, that's one of the best holes in St. Andrews, I think. What's your favorite
Yeah.
course in all of Scotland?
Um, so there's two that are kind of right up there for me. Like again, take the old out of it because I just really do love the old. I think it's brilliant. Would probably be Turnberry and Dornoch. And Turnberry, I played it. It was like a great day, but it was windy, and I got completely beat up. And like when you're just going out to 9, you play
Yeah,
one, and then you go 2 to 8 is right into the wind. It was like a into the wind crosswind, and I was just not playing great. But when we played Dornoch, I wasn't playing great. This just seems like the theme of my golf. I wasn't playing great either, and it wasn't a great day, but I enjoyed it better. So I think that itself kind of tells you that it was an awesome course. I didn't play very well. the weather wasn't very good, but I just thought it was unbelievable, and I had a great time. Yeah, I loved Dornoch. I thought it was just so good.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I'll tell you, Robbie, as you were talking, I love those two courses as well. I've played both of them several times, but I was thinking of as you were talking, like the Forrest Gump movie, where he says, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get." Right. And
yeah,
when you think about how different those two courses are, Turnberry, Dornoch, St. Andrews, and then throw in an Ely,
yeah,
right? Or Dumbarney, or some of these others, they're so different. Yet for you, it's got to be hard to pick because there's just so much wonderful golf there, right? And we all have
yeah,
our preferences, right? If we had a box of chocolates, you would pick three that I wouldn't pick, or what have you. And the same is true with golf.
yeah. Like for me, the old is definitely like the best and the most unique. With like I guess like Turnberry, great course, but you're there. You've probably got to stay at the hotel, and there's nothing around you. So when you turn up, you're playing golf. Whereas I've had days where I've been in the town, we've had a coffee, we've chilled out, we walked around the town, and I thought, oh, I'm teeing off in 20 minutes. So then I just walk down the road and I'm on the first tee, or that I've finished 18 and I put my clubs in the car and then I walk up to Dunvegan and I'm on a night out and I've not, there's not been 5 minutes from between my
Yeah.
last putt on 18 and the beginning of my night out. I just think it's awesome. Yeah,
How
totally
many times
unique.
would you estimate you've played the old course?
I don't know. I'd have no idea. I'd honestly have no idea. Um, like to be honest, it's not that much anymore, which is a shame. I actually thought that this morning. It's July, and I don't think I've played it this year yet. I always play it in August. We've got a thing in August that we do, and I just thought there that surely that can't be the first time that I play it this year. So I'm going to have to scramble about and get a game.
I asked your dad that question.
Would it be
More than a
thousands?
thousand.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. They constantly play it. Him and his friends are on it all the time.
Yeah, that's great.
Any time. But I guess that's the life of a retired retired
Yeah.
guy in St Andrews that they play it any day of the week, anytime.
So is what's on your golf bucket list?
Um, Probably not attainable, but Augusta. It's got to be Augusta. Like watching the Masters every year is like quite a big thing. We love that. I will always make the effort to watch pretty much well, even like the stuff at the start, which is I don't know why we watch it every year because nothing even happens. But the program, the actual footage of it starts a week before,
Yeah,
and yeah. Um, but yeah, it definitely got to be Augusta. But like I said, I don't know how attainable that is.
yeah. Well, I'm the same way with the Open. They're already
Yeah,
running things about the Open and Hoylake, and I'm disappointed you're not coming down to use some free tickets I have for you. But
yeah, I know, I know.
um,
I'd love to come.
well,
I'm gonna keep this business going.
if I ever get invited to play Augusta, you'll be my second.
Oh, nice.
My
I'm gonna hold
son-in-law
you to
won't like that. My son-in-laws won't
that.
appreciate that, or my son. But um, so last question
Yes.
for someone visiting Scotland for the first time and playing links golf. You've obviously played a lot of links golf. What advice would you have for them?
Anything with 60 yards in, take the putter out. Um, yeah, or like 7 irons round the green, bump and run is the kind of the go-to. Well, for me anyway. What else? Uh, yeah, really kind of don't think about. Well, a lot of people will look at the yards and say it's 160 to the hole. I'm going to hit my 160 club, but they don't really think about the bounce, the winds, like how firm the ground is.
Yeah,
They can't, and even off the tee, right? Um, Typically you work back from the green and see where you want to land it, but the ball runs far, especially in the height of the summer. The last couple of weeks, it's just been so dried out. Um, last week or so, it's been raining and it's helped a bit, but yeah, my big one would be putter. That's when I go and play a park. Parkland course, and I'm like 5 yards off the green, and I can't use a putter. I'm sweating. I've got to chip it. I don't know what to do.
I'll tell you what, I've got a friend. I say this on almost every broadcast. I've got a friend up in at Murray where I'm a member, right? And his name's Jim Young, and his 7-iron is a magic wand, right? I mean, he wields that thing like a sorcerer or a wizard, right? It's just like he hits it stone dead from everywhere, right? I mean, so listen to this, Robbie. I've always used it, but he uses 7-iron every time. If it's longer, he doesn't go to a 6-iron. He just plays the 7 further back in the stance. And anyway, I've chipped in twice on Parkland courses this year, once for eagle, once for birdie, using that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking very unlikely birdies and eagles chipping in off the, bump and running on a Parkland course.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's great advice.
Yes.
So how can people find you if they want to track you down?
Dunvegan. I'll be in the Dunvegan. No, you can get me on www.championchauffeur.com. And there's an inquiry form that if you submit that, I'll get that. Or you can get me on Robbie at championchauffeur.com.
Excellent. Excellent. Robbie, it's been a pleasure having you today. We really appreciate your investing your time with us. More so, we're thrilled that you're part of our team and that you take such great care of our guests. They all come back happy, and that makes us happy because we know that they're going to want to go back. And as I said, the Barons already requested you next year, so that's good to hear. So
yeah, it's good to hear. Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for the business.
well, and we'll see you we'll see you in October.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get that 7-iron out on the green, not on
There
the
you
green,
go.
on the course near the green.
Yeah. Okay. Have a good one, Robbie.
Thank you again for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. We'll have another few videos coming out the next couple weeks, and I hope to see you again next week.